So very blessed to be a part of the Seton Hall family.
Thank you, Yvette.
And we're from Connecticut.
Awesome. And Yvette has actually hosted a wonderful send-off reception at her home to welcome some of our incoming students. That was about what? Oh my God, 3 years ago, 4 years ago now, Yvette?
About 2 years ago.
2 years ago, okay.
I welcome them back though. Thank you.
Thank you. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Susanna Susser. Susanna?
Thank you, Sandra. My name is Susanna Susser. My daughter, Zoe Susser, is a rising senior at Seton Hall. She is a secondary ed music person. Happy to meet some other secondary ed music people on the call. We're from Virginia, and she fell in love with Seton Hall campus as well. I think going to a small school was important to her, and it just had the right feel and comfort for her. It was a great choice for her.
Great. All right. Thank you. Mary Claire, if you want to introduce yourself and share a little bit as well.
Yeah, so I am Mary Claire Cullum, and I have the pleasure of being the Director of Admissions at Seton Hall University, and it is a job that I absolutely love. And I have to make a confession, I love attending these type of events. There's just something so special about meeting new people that are going to be a really important part of our community for the next 4 years. And while I have a chance to talk, I just want you to know that your son and daughters have been selected to be in an exceptional program. So my sincere congratulations to all of you. And a little fact for you, in case you don't know, this incoming class is going to be our largest class in the history of Seton Hall, and we've been around since 1856, so that's a big deal. And it's also going to be the smartest class I think we've ever brought in, because I was just looking through our numbers, and our average GPA for admitted students from this class is a 3.71. So your sons and daughters are going to be in a group of students that are probably going to be motivating each other and working well together. So I am really excited about this class. I know you've gotten hundreds of emails from me, but I do want to also say admissions is always open for questions, phone calls, etc. Many colleges don't want to talk to parents. I have the exact opposite philosophy. I put kids through college. I know what what it's like for a parent to have to go through this process, and it starts from little tiny age all the way up. And so I am more than happy to talk to parents anytime whatsoever. So feel free, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mary Claire. And Susanna asked, how big is the incoming class? What are you expecting the class to be once we all move in and see everyone in person, hopefully?
It's really hard to say, because some students right now are still switching plans. Unfortunately, some are starting to realize they really can't afford it, so we're losing some, but others that turned us down are saying, hey, can you squeeze me in? So I'm going to say 16, 20, it's a guess.
Wow.
Maybe a little bit more, knock on wood. So, yeah.
Congratulations to your amazing team. I know how dedicated they are. I remember you mentioned that you probably hosted maybe 2,000 of these virtual events over the past year and a half, which is mind-blowing. But I know how dedicated and how hard they work to recruit and make our incoming students feel connected to the Seton Hall community. So kudos to you and to your wonderful team.
Well, thank you. It was a tough year. We didn't really know how to reach people, so we tried absolutely everything we could think of, morning, noon, and night, weekends as well. And I think one of our most successful events that we started is our monthly parent Zoom event that we host. And sometimes we'll have as many as 600 600, 700 student parents on it at a time. So we learned about all the anxiety both students and parents were feeling this year and a half with COVID. And we thought, let's just open the floor up and take Q&A and see if we can help people understand and relax a little bit. And what a hoot it was. And it was one of the best experiences that I've had in my whole career in higher ed. So thank
That's
you.
great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I think if any of the parents of incoming students want to introduce themselves, please do so. If you want to just unmute yourself, say hello, who's your student, what's their major, and where are you from? And why Seton Hall? Anyone? Okay, that's okay. We'll get to you later. All right, so let's just dive into the questions. Let's do that. All right, so our first question that I know we received a good amount of questions that Mary Claire shared with me from parents of incoming freshmen. And this first question is, I think, is top of mind. What is some general advice you would give to parents for their students to be successful at Seton Hall? And I'll start off with Diane Dennis on this question.
I think that they're a lot smarter and can do a lot more than we really want to believe that they can. So I think first step is let them figure it out. Of course, listen to what they have to say, you know, help them in any way, but they can do it. They, at that point, are so much better and so much more clever, like who they need to contact, what department goes, you know, so they can do it. So I think, you know, your first thing is to just breathe, step back, and like let them do the first step.
Jennifer, anything you want to add to that in regards to providing advice?
I do, and it was on the tip of my tongue, and I got enthralled with what the first person was saying. What's the general question? I'm sure I have something to say about it.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's just that, you know, what is the general advice you would give to parents for their students to be successful at Seton Hall?
Oh, okay. Michael is, my student is very young. He is probably one of the youngest in the class. So it was important to him to get involved because he always feels a little on the younger side. So getting involved on your floor, if you're in a dorm, is important, and getting involved in organizations. I know last year was the Pitts, but you guys are coming into a fresh new year. So there's, I say, any type of involvement. If you play an instrument, if you do intramurals volleyball, anything like that, I think is key, and especially on your floor. I remember in Aquinas, he met a lot of people just on his floor alone.
Thank you, Jennifer. How about you, Yvette? Anything else you would like to add? Any advice that you would like to share?
I think there is a calendar of event, am I correct, that comes out for the first month. Just that kind of involvement. Encourage them to get involved in that aspect. If they're ever in doubt, they can always go to any of their professors' offices, or Dean Gillette, Dr. Martinelli, Dr. Arocho, and they're happy to guide them in what clubs may fit them, or just some general advice that will suit them and their personality and getting involved. But I agree, getting involved in, if they're on campus, their floor, and with their roommates, and just going out on the green and enjoying that space.
Thank you, Yvette. How about you, Susanna? Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I think that first kind of several days calendar that they put out of activities was really helpful, because they could kind of, Zoe at least is a little bit of an introvert. And so she could kind of, you know, pick and choose, and I could encourage her to do things. I think academically, I haven't paid much attention. She's like one of 5 kids. She's the only one that I stopped paying attention to academically at like 4th grade, but thankfully. But she struggles with just asserting herself. So just encouraging her to kind of try to solve her own problems and have those conversations with her advisors, with her professors when she did stumble, doing a little coaching, and then just stepping away and letting her figure it out, I think has been the one piece of advice that's worked for me.
Just want to make sure those parents of incoming students, if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand or add them to the chat. This is, this Q&A discussion is for you. So if you have any questions, feel free to share in the chat. So I know you, all four of you shared some advice in regards to making sure your students successful academically. When they were incoming freshmen, did they take advantage of the freshman studies program in regards to the peer advisor, the academic mentor? If you could share a little bit about that. I know that's one of the important programs that we have for our students to be acclimated from high school to college, not only academically but socially. But if any of you can share, if any of your students had a peer advisor that was extremely helpful, or an academic advisor that was helpful, it'd be great. Anyone, Diane, if you want to share, if you have an example of that.
I do know that the education department, I want to say it's rather small, and I know they're a tight group, and so they follow each other through the classes. So they are their own, network. If they have questions, a lot of times I know my daughter would go to her, peers that are in the same program. And also her roommates are in the same program. So the girls that she met freshman year, they followed her through the program. And I know that they all really helped each other as far as like what's next. And then of course they have their advisors that they go to and they use. But I know that just education it's a tight group. So they're there for each other.
Thank you, Diane. Yeah, and I think, Mary Claire, you might have some information in regards to the size of the incoming class that are education majors. I think it was about 75 students, so it's a small group. I could be wrong. I thought that's what I saw, but if
it's not that huge. It's under 100.
Right.
I can tell you that you're very fortunate because this is the most caring department. Tight knit, pay attention. Everybody knows everyone. And I'm not a parent of a student at Seton Hall, but as someone that's there every day when there's not a pandemic, I can tell you it's ever so important to stay tight with faculty. I agree with all the parents saying stay involved, get involved. The happiest students on campus are those who are involved. But I also, as parents, I want to tell you that I want you to encourage your children to take advantage of all the services we have to offer. They get so used to in high school trying to look so perfect because they have to apply to college. But once you're at college, if they feel like they're falling behind, encourage them to reach out for help. We want them to learn the subject matter. We want them to be comfortable. We don't want them to fall behind. And so we have ways of just going to faculty. They can sign up for a tutor online. There's residence hall tutors, so you don't even have to leave the building to get help. So not to be embarrassed by it if they feel like they're not really getting something, address it right away. Also, sometimes when they're new, they get a little homesick, or based on all that they've gone through with COVID, they might be stressed or have anxiety. Some students are even telling us that they feel depressed. We have services to work with our students, and we even added to our staffs because we're expecting students to need more help than ever before. We have a new app that we're introducing to help students meet other students. We thought by giving them an app, because they're so into those kind of things, it might even, they haven't been super social lately. So I think we've thought of everything based on what we've heard from parents, to try to address it up front and build our tutoring pool, our health and wellness staff, counseling services, and we encourage you to encourage them if they need it. Don't hide it. It's not what you do in college. So, and also know that you pay a lot of money to go to Seton Hall, so take advantage of all of this, right? It's there. for you and your children.
Thank you, Mary Claire. And I know Susanna and Jennifer shared a little bit about how their academic advisors were so helpful to their students. If you want to share a little bit, Susanna, if you want to share a little bit about the academic advisor and how were they helpful to Zoe in being successful?
Yeah, so I think this has been one of the most meaningful relationships that she's had at Seton Hall. Her academic advisor is always available, is so responsive to her, is her advocate when she runs into an obstacle, and helps her overcome that obstacle. I went to a much larger college. I never had that relationship with an advisor or a member of the faculty. Like, students have the opportunity to have those relationships at Seton Hall. It's really wonderful.
This is Jennifer. I can only echo that. What Michael's advisor has been able to help him with, the woman that runs the clinical placement and experiences, and then even for extra support, I can't say enough about the Academic Resource Center, ARC. What you can gain there is pretty extraordinary, whether it's a walk-in or you schedule an appointment online. I highly recommend, everyone is saying the same thing, to reach out. There's even the Department of Student Services. If anyone came from a 504 and IEP, the student has to, come with the information, but they too are fascinating, work with the students, provide them the letter, help them advocate themselves for themselves. I just can't say enough. The counseling services that they offer as well, especially in time of COVID, was really quite amazing. Some students can get very awkward or feel uncomfortable about themselves. And being a small school, that's why I think it's just so funny that Michael was University of Tennessee, go Volunteers, marching band, but when he walked onto the campus and you asked Dr. Katz or any of them, they couldn't probably imagine seeing him in a larger campus. It is so important, the one-on-one. I just can't say enough for all these new parents that are listening for their students.
Thank you, Jennifer. Yvette, anything you would like to share as well? I know Jennifer has done tremendous as a student.
Exactly. I actually was asking Juliet beforehand. I said, Julie, tell me about the coaching. What goes on over there? How do you get the extra support? I wanted to be ready. And she's like, Mom, you just walk up there and doors are open and you just come away, they let you in. So, and that's something that I experienced. I knew right away that I experienced it way back when I was there, that sense of family and community within the Department of Education. And it's the same thing that everyone knows. She walks in there and everybody knows her by name. So much so that last year there was an incoming freshman and they knew that they had similar interests. The incoming freshman had expressed some concern and they matched her up with Julie and said, talk to her and she can give you some advice if this is a good fit for you or not. So I just thought that was kind of extraordinary. So it's definitely a community, family-based setting there.
Thank you, Yvette. And I think the other part that I want you to share a little bit about, which is a big part of the experiences as a pirate, their journey as a pirate, is what they experience outside of the class. So anything in regards to organizations and clubs that they've joined and how they learned about joining these clubs and organizations, which is a big part of them feeling a part of the Seton Hall community, especially as a first semester incoming freshman, that they want to feel connected and a part of something. And the transition from high school to college, that's a big part of it. So if any of you can share a little bit about what they've joined, how it's helped them to meet friends, how it's helped them to feel connected to the university, and has helped them grow as an individual. And Yvette, I'll let you start off at this time.
So my daughter, when she first arrived at Seton Hall, she had done an array of different activities, and it was kind of like trying to find the right fit for her. So I think that they offer so many clubs and so many opportunities for them to find something that works with their schedule and with their interest level. So she's part of the Seton Hall dance team. She also serves in youth ministry. She does a lot of volunteer work. What else, Julie? Oh, she's an ambassador. She's over there. I'm like, I have to run. She's an ambassador for the ambassador for the Department of Education, the Latino Institute, Lucino Leadership. So all of those leaderships, any activities that they do as leaders, anything that they're interested in, there's definitely something that they can find at Seton Hall to fit their time frame and their interest level.
Thank you, Yvette. How about you, Susanna, with Zoe? Was there any specific club or organization that she?
Yeah, well, she's a little bit of an introvert, so it's always, a little bit of a push for her to get out there. But she did join the choir and the orchestra. She's kind of this fine arts geek, right? So she found her niche, and she loves those activities.
How about you, Jennifer, with Michael? I know he's in a lot.
Yeah. I want to echo, and I'm going to say the woman in the middle, but she may not be in the middle with you. She has the College of Education shirt on. That they'll find their niche, but Michael, like Zoe, is music central. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him in a pit orchestra on Broadway. I really don't know where he's going, even though he's education. So he's in the pep band. He talks to the director all the time. He's one of the biggest advocates to get that pep band back into Prudential Center. So he has lost his mind on that. He's in a service fraternity, APO, which I hope will start gearing up again. A lot of volunteering they do. And he works for Ed Missions as an ambassador, which I think he would take a full-time position. He bleeds the color blue. It is truly amazing. And just other things, intramural basketball. He just walked in one day and the fraternity, the service fraternity had joined a team. So you'll find your people, and the basketball games are phenomenal. Going to that is just huge. It really brings people together.
Thank you, Jennifer. Yeah, we're excited about being back at the Prudential and getting all the students there and just enjoying that experience for them. So,
yeah.
Leanne, anything else you would like to add in regards to Elizabeth's experience?
So Elizabeth, she lived on campus, loved it, freshman, sophomore, junior year. She moved off campus her senior year with all the friends that she actually made. And she used the gym. She went to the classes at the gym. And then sophomore year, she joined a sorority. So you don't have to even rush into it. She met a lot of kids freshman year. She met everybody in her dorms and hung out with them. And then at the time they were allowed to go to the other dorms. I know last year you couldn't, go to other dorms. So she met a lot of people. And then sophomore year, she decided to pledge a sorority. She's involved in her speech language pathology club, which is NISLA, and I think she became on the board of that later, maybe a junior, senior year. So I think you get more involved with your major. You start meeting people and what clubs they belong to, and of course you have your outside things. She did have some jobs outside of school, so she met people there. And as far as me as a graduate, my best friends are still the people that I've met in college. So you just form such a bond. And they were my roommates. They were people on my floor at school. I actually met my husband at Seton Hall. So it's kind of like we have a big pirate network going. So, when Elizabeth decided to go to Seton Hall, we were extremely happy. And I really didn't think she was going to pick Seton Hall. And then when she did, she called me. I remember in high school, one day she was in study hall and she texted me and she goes, "I've picked my school." And I was just like, oh, because I knew some of them were far away. She said, "I'm going to Seton Hall." Couldn't, I'm like, all right, pirate. So, I can't say enough about Seton Hall. Like I said, my whole foundation of my life is based on Seton Hall and the people I met there. And now my daughter will have that experience. And her best friends are the girls that she met freshman year. So they were going through this program together, which is funny because, like I said, the small program of education, and then now they're going on to grad school together.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all for sharing your students' experiences outside of the classroom. I know one of the questions that have been top of mind, especially for parents of education majors, is the clinical experiences that they have that's offered to them, especially preparing them to become tomorrow's teachers. If any one of you could share, if any of your students have had those clinical experiences, one, how were they able to get that experience, and where were those experiences, and how helpful was it for them to get them prepared to become our tomorrow's teachers and educators? And we can start with you, Diane, if you'd like.
Okay. Well, senior year, Liz, second semester, she was at a school 5 days a week. And then she would come home from the school and she'd had like 2 classes at night, I think. But she was totally immersed in the whole education experience. She was at a private school in Short Hills, and she learned so much. Like the experience she gained being there 5 days a week. And I know she has other friends in other schools, and I think they were going like maybe beginning of junior year. So, and only 2 days a week. So she's like, I don't understand how they are getting the experience and how they're going to know how to teach, like when they only had such a small opportunity. The opportunities that Seton Hall gave her were tremendous. She also, because she had gone, I think 3 times. I think you go like 2 days a week, and then another year you go 2 days a week, and then senior year. So she had an opportunity to be with different schools, different grades. And she just loved it. In fact, you know, the school that she was just with didn't realize that she was going on, and they offered her a job. She's like, oh, you know, I'm going on to grad school. I'm so sorry. But they wanted her. They said, we'll hire you and you can begin. So that's how well Seton Hall prepares them. And I think all the local schools realize that.
Thank you, Diane, for sharing that. Liz is going to be an asset to any school that she decides to be employed at. So, and I know the College of Education has definitely prepared her with all these clinical experiences that has had the opportunity to have. So thank you for sharing that. Jennifer, anything you would like to share in regards to any clinical experience?
Yes, the mom was just sharing, it starts out as a clinical experience and then moves to clinical placement, which was, several levels of clinical experience, and then we'll move to clinical placement, and then the full 5 days a week. Michael was in Newark at a magnet school. He was in Maplewood, and he was in Cranford, also different grades. The woman, Karen Grove, who is the director of the clinical experience and placement, is very knowledgeable, focused, no nonsense, pretty amazing in making sure these students are prepared. There's a whole host of things, from the classes they have to take to the health stuff that they have to do, the test, to the other praxis tests that they have to take. So there's a whole blog for those parents on the phone that the students will have access to in terms of what is an experience, what is a placement, what does it require, what do you have to do, walks you through applications, walks you through the fingerprint process and all of that. So I have to say it is quite crisp and clear, and any questions they just need to ask, and Karen will answer immediately. But the placements have been very, very interesting and different, which I think they do try to do between suburban, if something's more rural, something's more urban, and so forth.
Thank you, Jennifer. And anything else that Susanna or Yvette would like to add in regards to your students' clinical experience?
Yeah, I would think Zoe would share that this has been the best part of her educational experience. I think it was the second semester of her sophomore year when she first had the opportunity to go into a school and work with a teacher. even this past year, during this very disrupted academic year, she stayed home here and did not return to campus. She had a very rich clinical experience virtually, working with these teachers who are also teaching virtually. It was an amazing, eye-opening experience for her. And she is so excited to go, to her senior year and have more opportunities. The partnering that they do, the teachers that they partner these kids with are amazing. She's learned so much. And her friends who are at other universities are simply not getting that same type of clinical experience that the Seton Hall education students get.
Thank you, Susanna. Yvette, you want to share anything?
I agree. I think there's the perfect amount of rigor and support from the staff. Our Juliet has had a wonderful experience, and I'm an educator, so I'm a cooperating teacher and a team mentor. So I was ready. I said, "Oh, I can't wait. She's going to ask me questions. I can support her." Not one question. So they're doing a great job taking care of our kids over there.
Well, thank you all for sharing your students' clinical experiences. Parents of incoming students, if you have any questions, please raise your hand or share in the chat. Please do so if you have any questions or anything that's on your mind. If not, we'll just keep going with some of the questions that we received from parents. I know there's a concern for a lot of parents of incoming students in regards to roommate selection. If any of you can share, your experience with your students in regards to, selecting a roommate, how that occurred, what was the process? Was it difficult? Was it easy? Anything you can share, any advice, and even sharing when they did select their roommate, how did it go when they got to meet each other? When did they meet? Did they meet before they moved in, or was it that first day? And how did that go? Yvette, I'll let you start.
So Juliet met her roommate on a Facebook chat, and they kind of had very similar interests. They both danced. They were both in the 4+2 program. So that's how their initial contact was made. And then I was very nervous about her. She had a great connection with those roommates, and she had a great freshman year, but then she wanted to go on to a specialty program, and my kid's an only child. So it's a little bit delicate about, okay, she's used to not sharing a lot of things. And then she said, well, I'm going to go on to the specialty program. I met it with a lot of quiet inner hesitation, but it was amazing, the girls that she met. So she just added to her friend group. I think she's had a very positive experience. I also know of some experiences that I've heard from her that have not been as positive, and I know the residences work with them and make sure that they feel comfortable and try to work through issues. And if it's not something that's that can be resolved, they do sometimes switch roommates. So, but I don't have anything but good things to say about the process.
Thank you, Brad. Susanna, anything you would like to share in regard to Zoe's roommate selection experience?
Yeah, so I think she met her freshman year roommate during orientation, and they kind of connected there. I think her experience, I think, was positive that freshman year. They did make a decision not to be roommates, though their sophomore year, they both kind of found different friends and went their separate ways, but they still see each other a lot on campus and hang out occasionally. And so now she's got a different roommate situation that's working out well. I think it's been overall very positive for her.
Will she be on campus when she comes back, or is she moving off campus?
She'll be on campus her senior year.
Great, awesome. Jennifer, you would like to share?
Like Zoe, Michael met his freshman roommate during Pirate Preview orientation. I forget, or if that's the same thing. They also parted ways after the freshman year, still speak, but parted ways then on a Facebook one of the Facebook pages, people chatting about it. And then he moved into I guess a quad in Xavier. That worked out well. It was fine, but they didn't all stay roommates. 2 moved off, but Michael, while moved off, it was the Seton Hall housing in Terrell Manor for the junior year. And that was kind of weird because as the new parents, in case you don't know, there's plenty of Facebook pages for Seton Hall parents. And I'm going through it, and there's a mom saying, my kid is going to come back for his junior year, even though it was, we knew it was going to be hectic and possibly working just from their room. And they were in Allentown, and does anyone know of anything? And I said something to Michael, and I told the mother, well, blah, blah, blah. And then we exchanged cellular numbers for the boys. And so you can meet any very strange ways. She threw it out there just as a casting of a net, and I happened to be reading it one day, and it worked out just fine. It's very strange how they come across roommates, but it's been okay. We didn't have any issues. I wish I could share something. There really wasn't any issues.
Well, that's good. Well, thank you for sharing, Jennifer. How about you, Dan? Any I know it's
yeah, Liz met her freshman roommates, pretty sure on a Facebook page where they found each other through, I guess, maybe their majors or some common interest. So freshman year, she was in a triple. So she then continued on with those girls. One of them became an RA. So then she, probably found another girl or something. But then senior year, she lived off campus. She lived with one of the girls from freshman year again. So they stayed tight, and she had a great experience. Like, nothing to complain about at all. But she did meet a lot of other girls through her sorority, and so she was really friends with like all age groups, not just classmates, which was so when you want to get away, maybe you don't want to hang out with the girls that you're living with, then you have some other kids to go to and be with. But positive experience.
Great, thank you. And we received our first question from a parent of incoming freshmen, Charlotte Proctor, and she asked, I heard there was a roommate selection form they need to fill out now. I don't know if Mary Claire, do you want to share a little bit of information about that?
Right. So I'm sure you're all aware of PirateNet. Once you become a pirate, you do nothing but speak in terms of pirate something or other. And the student portal is called PirateNet. And within the PirateNet, there is, we call them chiclets, or an app, I guess you would refer to it as, that says eRes Life. And you would click on that, and in that, there would and should be a form for, selecting a roommate. So I would say that is something that should take place as soon as possible, because this year, we're actually going to be assigning residence halls earlier than we normally do. So we're going to do it at the end of June. I will also say, if there's any difficulties with PirateNet, you can simply, you, the parent, the student, can email Housing and Res Life, and I'll put it in the chat, but it's SHU, S-H-U, housing @shu.edu. So it's SHUHOUSING @shu.edu. And someone there would be happy to assist you. But I do know you can do it through PirateNet eRes Life.
Thank you, Mary Claire. All right, so let's see. We have a good amount of questions, and thank you so far for your wonderful answers and advice. I think and Mary Claire mentioned a little bit about PirateNet, which is my experience working with parents for the past 8 years. PirateNet has been a thorn in a lot of their, just in regards to being acclimated to it. So what has been your experience using PirateNet specifically? I think this is another major concern for parents is are, having the ability to see your students' grades and know how they're doing academically, and how the FERPA comes into play, the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act form. So if you could share a little bit about, having that conversation with your student in regards to having access to PirateNet, where a lot of the communication is going from the university to the student and not specifically to the parents. So if you could share a little bit about that experience, which is, I know, something a lot of our parents of incoming students are going through at this moment, real time. So Diane, if you want to start off with that question.
So we were given permission, which sounds funny, by my daughter to get access. I just didn't use that. I just didn't go on. So if I ever had a question, obviously, how are you doing, Liz? How are things going? And that's where we got to that point. I didn't need to, and which was nice because it was a step away from high school. It was nice for me to back it up a little bit and not have to look over her shoulder constantly. But she did give us access, which was fine. And then she knew that the trust was that, I don't really want to know. I just want to know that it's all good. So that's how it went with us.
That's great. That's great. How about you, Jennifer? And I'll make sure everyone has something to share.
There was no choice. I'm paying for college. Right. So yeah, I had access. I was on it. I find it pretty easy to use. It's gotten easier. The chiclets you put on is great for the students, but yes, having access to it, I see no reason why not, especially if you as the guardian are paying. But I like it. I thought it was quite user-friendly.
It's good to know.
I'm sorry, I'm very straightforward with that.
Yeah,
there was no discussion.
That's great. How about you, Susanna, with Zoe? How was that experience?
Well, I can't even recall, so I don't think I ever asked or she ever gave me permission. I just, like I said, she's the one of 5 that I don't have to worry about academics with. So she does her thing, she does well. She tells me her grades at the end of the semester. And I don't think I've ever been on PirateNet. I go to the other portal to pay the bill. That's it.
You said she's been independent since the 4th grade, right?
Yeah,
she's
all good.
Yeah, that's awesome. How about you, Vet? Any experience with PirateNet that you want to share?
Well, freshman year, I did ask my daughter for the information. I think I went there a couple of times. She's very responsible, so I really did not have to follow up on her grades. But using PirateNet now as a student, as an older student, was a little tricky because there's a lot of chiclets and a lot of options, and so it's just something that you get used to. So even initially, if your child grants you permission to go on, it's something nice to explore and see what they have access to, because there are a lot of opportunities on there for them that perhaps there are tutorials on there as well for parents or students, so that they can take full advantage of what PirateNet has to offer.
And since we're kind of winding down in regards to time, I know one of the questions that we've received a lot about is meal plans. What's been your experience in regards to, because every student is different in regards to how much they eat, how they feel about the food at gourmet dining. I know we get a lot of complaints, but not, some of them are fine with that. But if you could share a little bit about your experience in regards to choosing a meal plan that was, sufficient for your student at that time. If you want to share a little bit about that. And again, we'll start with Yvette for that question.
Sandra, I don't remember how you choose the meal plan. I just thought it was a one, it just comes with a package type of thing. I'm really not sure, but Juliet has had the meal plan all 3 years and now into her 4th year. She's never had a problem with it. She's really not that picky, and so she just prepped herself anything she wanted. They do have a refrigerator in her room, so when she would get tired of it, luckily her grandma lives in Newark, So I can't bring her things from Connecticut, but she goes and, stocks the refrigerator. So even if they have that ability to get some homemade meals every once in a while, it breaks the routine of always eating in the cafeteria. So.
Your students are all so good. Anyone else want to share anything? Anything about the meal plan? Any issues or anything you want to share as advice to our parents of incoming students about, especially about nutrition as well, right? I mean, I know there's some issues in regards to being allergic to certain foods, and if you had any issues in regards to that, what are some of the steps that your students took just to make sure that they were being fed, especially, leaving home for the first time and not having mom or dad's cooking is an experience in itself. So anything you can share about that?
Yeah, I don't think Zoe's ever complained about the food, and I haven't heard any 5-star reviews, so I think you're just hitting the mark perfectly. Yeah. And she did kind of go gluten-free at some point during her sophomore year. So, and I know that there are options for her, to maintain that and still, be full and have options to eat. So, all good.
I'll have to agree with Susanna. It was middle of the road. I think, well, at least in his freshman year, everyone had to have a particular plan, and then it's waned a little bit. I don't even know if he had one this year. Frankly, I can't remember if I paid, but sometimes the guys and the girls are a little different. He does have a peanut allergy, and was no issue with that either. So, yeah, I don't have a lot to say about that.
That's fine. How about you, Dan? Anything you want to share about that?
I do think it changes. Probably freshman year, they had probably the largest plan. And then they start to realize and know when their classes are and how their eating goes. So I think it does change, then they decide on their own what, how many meals that they want. And so I know that it's changed throughout the 3 years that she was on campus.
Since we have about 2 minutes left in our discussion, again, any of our parents of incoming freshmen, if you have any questions, please raise your hand or share it in the chat. But again, any parting words or advice any of you want to share before we log off? But again, thank you for all your wonderful advice and comments, and anything else you want to share with our parents of incoming freshmen that we probably didn't touch upon in these 58 minutes? Anyone can go right ahead.
I would say get on a Facebook parent page or two. People ask questions and people answer immediately. And sometimes it's a lot of answers, and sometimes you can search. I even had a question. It was like a secret what Aquinas looked like. I couldn't find a floor plan years ago. And someone's like, here's some pictures. So it's helpful even for the mundane.
Thank you, Jennifer. Yeah, I think that was one of the best things I created when I started here. I remember asking, can we create a Facebook page for parents? And they looked at me like I was crazy. Who's going to manage that? I was like, well, they will. There'll be a community of parents sharing information about what it is to be a parent of a Seton Hall student. And it's been tremendous. So I agree. Any of our parents, please join. There's 2 Facebook groups. There's one that's an official Seton Hall parents group, and there's one that we call a rogue, but that's fine. Join it, because it's parents sharing information. So I agree, Jennifer. That's a great place to start. Anyone else want to share any final advice or anything?
I just think it's such a community. I did notice right when COVID began, somebody's son was not feeling well and he was living off campus, and I'm sorry. Yes. And the parents were far away. Yeah. And all the parents said, listen, we're going to go and we're going to help out. We'll get, medicine and food. So it really was a nice feeling that everybody was pitching in and looking out for other students.
I agree. I mean, I think, one of the trademark or, one of the things that's so incredible about Seton Hall is the community that we all have. students, staff, administrators, faculty, the priests, everyone is really looking out for each other, especially our students. And so we had this wonderful professor who just recently retired, Mike Reuter, who would always say, we're family. And I really feel that's the sense that we all feel like we're part of the Seton Hall family. So again, yeah, I agree, Diana. I think there's parents out there that really help. I mean, we have parents that are, students that are coming from all over the world, students from California, Alaska. And so they're thousands of miles away from home, but you hear about students that can't go back home for Thanksgiving, but they're going to an Italian home in New Jersey. So that's a different experience of having a Thanksgiving, but they feel like they're home anyway because they're being accepted and taken in by another family. And just even this session for you four to come and share your advice and your feedback. I really appreciate it. And this goes a long way. We recorded the session, so we'll be able to provide this recorded session to those parents that were unable to attend. So thank you again. Anything else, Mary Claire, you want to add before we leave? I know there's so much going on campus in regards to, I know in July we have some in-person meetings. So
lots of stuff going on, but I do want to say that you know where to find me, Office of Admissions. I'm there almost all the time, and you are welcome to pop in or contact me if you have any questions, concerns, whatever. Also, I really look forward to welcoming you, your family, your children to campus come fall. So have a great rest of the summer if I don't talk to you, and I just can't wait to have everybody back in the next couple months. So enjoy the summer.
Well, thank you all again. We'll look forward to, again, including you all in all that we're doing, especially in the fall. We're excited about just being in person and just seeing and welcoming our families and our students. So there's a lot of, we're already preparing for Seton Hall weekend, which is exciting. So that I think is October 15th through the 17th. So save the date for that. And we're gonna be all over the place, especially during the summer, just meeting with families. And if any of you, again, are interested in hosting a small event, just to get to meet other families that live in your town, we're looking forward to doing that as well. So again, thank you, Diane. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Susanna. Thank you, Yvette, for being amazing parent ambassadors and sharing your students with us. They're amazing, amazing individuals. And again, thank you for helping us out this evening. God bless and go Pirates. Take care.
Thank you.
Enjoy your summer.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Mary Claire.